The Meditations, An Emperor's Guide to Mastery, by Marcus Aurelius. A new rendering, by Sam Turode. Introduction. Imagine, for a moment, the most powerful man in the world. He commands legions of soldiers, his face is stamped on coins across an empire that stretches from Britain to Syria, and his word is law for millions of people. Now, picture this man not in a gilded palace, but in a cold, wind-swept tent on the banks of the Danube River. It's late at night. Outside, the sounds of a military campaign against Germanic tribes echo in the darkness. The air is thick with the fear of plague, the weight of political betrayal, and the crushing responsibility of an empire at war. This man, the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, takes out a personal journal. He isn't writing his memoirs for future generations. He isn't crafting propaganda to burnish his legacy. He's writing to himself. He's wrestling with the same questions that keep us all awake at night. How do I deal with difficult people? How can I find peace when the world is in chaos? How do I live a good life? How do I face my own mortality without fear? He never intended for anyone to see these private notes. He simply called them ta eisuden, which means to myself. But through a near miraculous chain of events, this leather-bound journal survived the fall of Rome, the Dark Ages, and 2,000 years of history to become one of the most influential books ever written, known to us today as the Meditations. This isn't just a book, it's a guide to mental resilience, an operating system for the human soul, written by a man who had to practice what he preached every single day under unimaginable pressure. It has been a source of strength for kings, presidents, artists, and athletes for centuries. And the incredible thing is, the wisdom packed into these pages is as relevant today, in our world of digital distraction and constant anxiety, as it was on the war-torn frontiers of ancient Rome. Over the next few minutes, we're going to unlock the secrets of this Emperor's Guide to Life. My promise to you is this: by the end of our time together, you will understand the three core principles that allowed Marcus Aurelius to build an unshakable inner fortress, a sanctuary of peace he could retreat to at any time, no matter what storms were raging outside. And more importantly, you'll learn how to start building that same fortress for yourself, starting today. Book Summary. So, where do we begin? To understand the power of the Meditations, we first have to understand the man. Marcus Aurelius wasn't born to be emperor, but he was chosen. His adoptive father, Emperor Antoninus Pius, was a man of incredible character, and Marcus spends the entire first book of the Meditations expressing gratitude for the lessons he learned from his family and teachers. He thanks his grandfather for teaching him good morals and an even temper. He thanks his mother for demonstrating simple living and purity of thought. He thanks his tutor, Rusticus, for introducing him to the teachings of the Stoic philosopher Epictetus, which would change his life forever. This opening act of gratitude is our first major clue. Marcus understood that wisdom isn't created in a vacuum, it's inherited, learned, and shared. He begins his private journal by acknowledging his debt to others, a profound act of humility from the most powerful man on earth. But Marcus's life was far from easy. His reign was marked by constant warfare, a devastating plague that killed millions, economic turmoil, and even the betrayal of one of his most trusted generals. He endured the loss of his wife and many of his children. It was in the face of this relentless pressure that he turned to Stoicism, not as an academic exercise, but as a practical tool for survival. And this brings us to the first, and perhaps most important, lesson from the Meditations: the only thing you truly control is your mind. Marcus writes, "It is within your power to find solace at any time, by retreating into yourself." He calls this your inner sanctuary, your inner citadel. He says that there is no place quieter or more peaceful than your own soul, if you can just get your thoughts in order. This is a revolutionary idea. We spend so much of our lives trying to control external events, trying to get the right job, find the right partner, make the right amount of money, believing that once we arrange the outside world perfectly, we'll finally be happy. Marcus turns this idea completely on its head. He says, if you're upset by something outside you, it's not the thing itself that upsets you, but your opinion of it. And it's in your power to wipe away that opinion immediately. Think about that. Nothing external can actually touch your soul or harm your character. The only thing that can truly harm you is your own reaction, your own judgment. What truly hurts you is what makes you a worse person. And no one can force you to become a worse person but yourself. This is the famous Stoic dichotomy of control. There are things we can control, and things we can't. What can't we control? Other people's actions, the economy, the weather, our own health in the long run, and our reputation. What can we control? Our thoughts, our judgments, our principles, and our actions. Stoicism, Marcus discovered, is the art of focusing all of our energy on what we can control and learning to accept the rest with grace and tranquility. It's a simple idea, but it's incredibly difficult to practice. So how did he do it? He started every single day with a mental exercise, a kind of psychological armor. He writes in Book 2, begin each morning by saying to yourself, today I will meet people who are nosy, ungrateful, arrogant, deceitful, envious, and unsocial. Now, when you first hear that, it sounds incredibly pessimistic. But Marcus wasn't being a cynic. He was being a realist. He continues, explaining that these people can't help it. They are simply ignorant of the difference between good and bad. But he, Marcus, does know the difference. And because he shares the same human nature with them, he can't be angry. He reminds himself that we were all made to work together, like hands and feet, or two rows of teeth. To hate each other is unnatural. This daily practice did two things. First, it was a form of negative visualization. By anticipating the worst, he was never surprised when it happened. When someone inevitably betrayed him or insulted him during the day, he could think to himself, ah, yes. One of the people I was expecting to meet. It removed the element of shock and allowed him to respond with reason instead of raw emotion. Second, it fostered a sense of empathy and connection. He didn't see these difficult people as enemies, but as misinformed members of his own human family. This perspective allowed him to treat them with kindness and patience, even when they didn't deserve it. He reminds himself that the best way to avenge a wrong is not to be like the person who wronged you. Returning evil for evil just drags you down to their level. The only true vengeance is to refuse to let their actions corrupt your own character. This brings us to the second great lesson of the Meditations. Obstacles are not impediments, they are fuel. Marcus saw the world as a great, blazing fire. He writes, a fire makes fuel from everything it touches. It consumes seemingly insurmountable objects and burns stronger and brighter because of it. He urges us to nurture the flame of reason within us until it becomes just as powerful. This is the mindset that transforms every problem into an opportunity. He says that our reasoning mind can turn any obstacle into an opportunity for growth. When you come across a stumbling block, he advises, you can use it as a stepping stone. This is a profound shift in perspective. Most of us see a problem and think, this is blocking my path. I'm stuck. A Stoic sees the same problem and thinks, this is the path. This challenge is a chance for me to practice a virtue, courage, patience, justice, or wisdom. Did someone betray you? This is an opportunity to practice forgiveness. Are you stuck in traffic? This is an opportunity to practice patience. Did you fail at an important task? This is an opportunity to practice resilience. The circumstance itself doesn't prevent you from being just, generous, or prudent. In fact, it's your good fortune to be able to bear this challenge nobly. This idea is at the heart of what we now call post-traumatic growth. It's the recognition that hardship doesn't have to break us. It can make us stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. Marcus lived this. The constant wars were not a distraction from his duty, they were the arena in which he practiced his philosophy. The political backstabbing was not an annoyance, it was a test of his character. He learned to welcome these challenges, not because he enjoyed suffering, but because he knew that they were forging him into a better man. He writes, "The art of living is more like wrestling than dancing. You have to plant your feet and brace yourself for every sudden, unexpected challenge." But how do you maintain this perspective when life gets truly difficult? When you face not just daily annoyances, but profound loss, pain, and the terrifying reality of your own mortality? This leads us to the third and most sobering lesson from the Meditations: remember that you will die. In Latin, this is called memento mori. For Marcus, this wasn't a morbid obsession, it was a powerful tool for living with clarity and purpose. He constantly reminds himself of the fleeting nature of life and fame. "How quickly all things disappear," he writes. "They pass from this world and all memory of them soon fades." He reflects on the greatest names in Roman history, Alexander, Pompey, Caesar, and notes that they, too, departed this earth and are now little more than stories. He asks himself, what is the point of seeking fame, of wanting to be remembered by future generations? The people whose applause you seek will soon be dead themselves. And even if your memory were to last forever, what good is that to you once you're gone? Nothing. This constant awareness of death serves a vital purpose. It strips away the non-essential. It forces you to ask, what truly matters? The answer, for Marcus, was clear. What should we strive for? Right thoughts, beneficial actions, honest speech, and a cheerful disposition. In other words, virtue. He says, live every moment as if it were your last. This isn't a call for hedonism, to live recklessly because life is short. It's the exact opposite. It's a call to live with intention and integrity. If you knew this was your last day on earth, would you waste your time on petty arguments? Would you scroll mindlessly through social media? Would you lie, cheat, or act selfishly? Of course not. You would focus on what is truly important: your relationships, your principles, your character. The thought of death also helps us put our problems in perspective. Marcus would often practice what is called the view from above. He would imagine himself looking down on the earth from the stars, seeing all the tiny humans scurrying about, with their wars and their feasts, their births and their deaths. From this cosmic perspective, he asks, how important is any single human life? How frightening is death? He considers the vastness of time stretching out behind and before us. On this scale, even the longest human life is just a brief flicker. The person who lives a long life and the person who lives a short one both lose the same thing: the present moment. For the present is all we ever truly have. You can't lose the past or the future, because you never owned them. This realization is incredibly liberating. It frees us from regret about the past and anxiety about the future, allowing us to pour all of our energy into living this present moment as well as we possibly can. These three pillars, controlling your mind, turning obstacles into opportunities, and remembering death, form the foundation of Marcus's philosophy. But his journal is filled with hundreds of other practical insights. He talks about our relationship with the universe, or what he calls nature. He saw the cosmos as one great, living being, a single, harmonious unity where everything is connected. Every event, no matter how random it seems, is part of a larger, rational design, an unwinding thread spun by the gods. This belief led him to the concept of amor fati, or the love of fate. He teaches himself to accept everything that happens, not with resignation, but with gratitude, trusting that it is all for the good of the whole. Everything is harmonious to me that harmonizes with you, O universe, he writes. He also reflects deeply on our social nature. Stoicism is often misunderstood as a philosophy of solitary detachment, but for Marcus, it was the exact opposite. He constantly reminds himself that humans are social beings, meant to live and work together in community. What is not good for the hive is not good for the bee, he says. Our capacity for reason is what connects us to all other people, making us citizens of one great human nation. Therefore, our duties are not just to ourselves, but to our family, friends, and community. We must treat every person as our brother or sister, acting with justice, kindness, and generosity. He offers practical advice on everything from getting out of bed in the morning to dealing with physical pain. When it's hard to get up, he tells himself, "I am rising to resume my life's work." He asks himself, were you born to lie under a warm blanket, or were you born for action? Look at the ants and the bees. They are all doing their part to bring order to the world. Are you unwilling to do the work of a human being? When experiencing pain, he reminds himself that it can't harm his ruling reason. The pain is limited to the affected body part. It's our imagination that blows it up into something infinite and unbearable. Limit the pain to the present moment, he advises, and it will be manageable. Throughout the 12 books of the Meditations, Marcus returns again and again to these core themes, rephrasing them, examining them from different angles, and driving them deeper into his own mind. He's not trying to invent new ideas, he's trying to internalize timeless ones until they become second nature. He compares this process to a wrestler who needs nothing beyond his own hands, his own body, to be effective. The principles must become a part of you. In the end, what Marcus Aurelius left us is not a system of abstract philosophy, but a practical handbook for living a life of virtue, resilience, and tranquility. It's a reminder that no matter our circumstances, we always have a choice. We can be reactive, letting external events and other people dictate our emotional state. Or we can be proactive, building an inner citadel of reason and peace that no external force can breach. He concludes his journal with a beautiful metaphor. Life is a play, and we are the actors. The playwright, fate, or the universe, determines when we enter the stage and when we leave. It's not up to us to decide if the play has 3 acts or 5. Our only task is to play our given role to the best of our ability, and then, when our time comes, to depart in contentment and gratitude, trusting that the playwright is pleased with our performance. Commentary. As we close the pages of this remarkable journal, it's hard not to feel a sense of awe. Here was a man who lived 2,000 years ago, dealing with pressures we can barely imagine, yet his struggles feel so intensely modern. The anxiety, the frustration with others, the search for meaning in a chaotic world, it's all there. And that, I believe, is the enduring magic of the Meditations. It reminds us that while our technology and our societies have changed, the fundamental challenges of being human have not. The most powerful lesson I take from Marcus is the profound sense of empowerment he offers. In a world that often makes us feel helpless, where we are bombarded with news of events far beyond our control, his message is a clarifying antidote. He reminds us that our true power lies not in shaping the world, but in shaping our response to it. Your mind is your own. Your character is your own. Your actions are your own. This is your sphere of power, and it is more than enough. If you can master this inner domain, you can find peace and freedom no matter what is happening outside. This isn't a call to apathy or inaction. Marcus was one of the most active men of his time. It's a call to wise action. It's about directing your precious energy toward the things you can actually change, starting with yourself, and letting go of the exhausting, pointless struggle to control the uncontrollable. So, how can we start applying this ancient wisdom to our modern lives, right now? Here are 3 simple practices inspired by the Emperor himself. First, try his morning ritual for 1 week. When you wake up, before you check your phone, Take 30 seconds to say to yourself, "Today I will encounter interference, ingratitude, arrogance, and envy. But these people can't harm me, because I will not allow my character to be corrupted by them. I will focus on my own actions and treat everyone with the understanding that we are all part of the same human family." This simple exercise will prime your mind for resilience and compassion throughout the day. Second, practice the view from above. The next time you feel overwhelmed by a problem, a bad grade, a conflict with a friend, a worry about the future, take a moment to zoom out. Imagine yourself floating above your town, then your country, then the earth itself. See the whole planet spinning in the silent darkness of space. From that perspective, how big is your problem, really? This isn't to diminish your feelings, but to put them in a larger context, which can instantly reduce their power over you. Third, at the end of each day, conduct a simple Stoic review. Ask yourself 2 questions. What happened today that was outside of my control? And how did I respond to the things that were in my control? This practice trains your mind to distinguish between the two, and over time, you'll find yourself wasting less and less energy on things that don't matter, and more on becoming the person you want to be. That was a summary of the Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. We've touched on some of the core ideas today, but I have to be honest with you. A summary is like looking at a photograph of the Grand Canyon. It can give you a sense of its scale and beauty, but it can never replace the experience of standing on the edge yourself, feeling the wind, and watching the light change across the vast landscape. The real magic of this book happens in the quiet moments of reading, when a single phrase hits you in a way you didn't expect, speaking directly to a struggle you're facing in your own life. This summary is a map, designed to help you decide if this is a journey worth taking. If anything we've talked about today has resonated with you, I encourage you to grab a copy. Reading it isn't just an act of learning, it's an experience that can genuinely change the way you see yourself and the world. The link to the book is in the description below. Also, if you found this journey into the mind of a philosopher king valuable, please show your support by hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel. That way, you won't miss our next exploration of another life-changing book from the billionaire's bookshelf. Let's keep growing together.